But then the next thing is, so they've had this fantastic learning experience. So what comes out of that? You think, well, that's nice. But what do you do with that? So the challenge is then around this concept of mana. And so mana, and we talk about mana atua, which is that we believe that every young person, so we talk about tamariki, so tamariki being children of a chiefly line or children of a god, of the gods, or from that line. So we believe that all young people, all children have that God-given spark of, and they're created for something special, and that potential sits in them. But that has to be unpacked. And so that's that concept of mana atua. There's many manas. But we want them to, and out of that is that mana is something that is given by others, and that only comes out of their ability to actually start realising, hey, I've got these skills, but how do I use them not just to benefit myself for my selfish purposes, rangatahi, just benefiting me, but recognising that they're moving from rangatahi, which is that leadership potential, into rangatira, realising that potential. And that might be as simple as, well, actually, now, hey, how about you teach this guy? He's so struggling, can you do that? And that becomes mana enhancing. So through those activities, you're actually growing and taking on this little journey into becoming, in a context of maybe 2 or 3 hours at the beach around a surfboard, from being taiahi, not having, very new, they're starting that learning journey to rangatira, the potential's there, but now we're unlocking it to rangatira. So you can be rangatira on a surfboard, but you might be a kid somewhere else because you don't know how to use those skills to benefit or talk about others. And so friends of ours talk about these guys, people who are rangatira on a pai, so they're very good at sitting up, and I've got all this knowledge here, but you put them in a kitchen and they're just kids because they don't know how to operate in that environment. So we need to support them to be rangatira in all areas. So we take these kids, we take them on that journey to becoming rangatahi to rangatira. How do you teach and show others? And it's a bit like one of the contexts you use is, say, we can take our kids out and we can teach them how to do mechanics and fix a car, but if they're only going to use their skills and knowledge to jump in that car and drive around at 120 k's and get drunk on a Friday night, well, that's not actually mana enhancing. We want them to know how to use those skills to do mana enhancing things. How do you bless and support others? And so that blessing and supporting things, what does that look like? Well, for us, that takes on the shape of what we call oha oha, which is that unconditional love. I can do something for you without needing something in return, because I recognise just by doing that, I actually feel good about myself, my mana enhanced. And my mana being enhanced is not relying on you having to say nice things about me or acknowledging me. It's just that I know by doing the right thing that I'm actually a better person for that. And so that's that internal thing. You're shifting that external locus of reward to internal. I'm actually a good person. I know I'm a good person. And so the context of everything we do with our young people, be it in a small and a micro scale and just a half an hour, 20-minute lesson or engagement, or over the course of our journey, as we shift from creating a connection to a relationship with young people, is around how do we enhance and pull those things out. The most interesting thing around when we talk about oha oha is that oha oha is one of those things that has to be caught. It's not always taught very well. So it has to be role modelled and shown first, and then you have to take what is often implicit and make that explicit through the breaking it down. Through tūhonohono, through ahona, and through mana enhancing opportunities. So let's break that down. What does this look like? So I'm showing you love, but often you have to name those things and make them explicit, because a lot of our kids don't know what love looks like, because love has become so distorted or so conditional. It's a transactional thing as opposed to actually here's a genuine out. I actually know I do this because I like and I value you, and I see that inherent goodness that sits in you, that mana atua, and how do we unlock that? And so those things have to actually be shown. So it's kind of interesting. You have to slowly sort of just filter through and show this to teaching kids, and slowly their language and thing changes. I do this so I can get this, to now I do this because actually I realise that this is actually enhancing my mana and making me a better person. And out of that way, other people are blessed through that. So we sort of go through that journey. And the interesting thing too, in terms of we sit there, so we might take an activity like the surfing, and we sort of actually break that down into sort of 4 key concepts as well. So at one level, surfing activity is actually just go out, it's healthy, it's exercise, you're having some fun, so your physical well-being's enhanced, you feel good because you engage in sleep, but it's a fun activity. But we're recognising that a skilled engagement, you bring that learning, that ahona into it, so it becomes a teaching engagement. But then it also shifts into a developmental, and we want to shift it out of recreational and just not into teaching, but more into that developmental. And that's where we actually see young people taking control or ownership of their actions, which is again those mana enhancing things. But the key thing is when you get to that stage is where you can actually shift into that therapeutic space. Because what happens then is the kid falls off their board, they get frustrated, and then they get angry, and their anger has to take out an expression, because we're dealing with hurt people, often hurt kids, broken kids. Because so many of them come from a background of abuse, maltreatment, all the negative sort of labels and that you can chuck at them. But really essentially just hurt people, and so hurt people, what do we tend to do? We either come out fighting or we run and hide, but we hurt others. And so out of that, then you can move into a therapeutic space to say, bro, so you're getting really angry. What's happening? So tell me what's going on. It's not working. And then you can break it down, and then you can actually go into that deeper space of the therapeutic questions and say, why is that? So why is this making you so angry? Well, let's go back and try it again. Maybe we do this. And then let's look at and test your response and reaction and say, how does it go? Is this working better? Tell me, why are you not getting angry now? What's different? So what have you learned from that? How do we, so let's talk about this in another context. And so you create all these little therapeutic learning moments that sit in there, and you can pull it out. And you get these little moments of gold. And you don't want to create too many of them, because you just want to take one or two, and then you can think about it and say, you know how you got angry today, and you're sitting down and you might be debriefing, you're hanging out with the kids afterwards, and you're on the beach and they've had an awesome day, and you say, so let's talk about, you got angry today, you're doing your debrief and your reflection, so talk about when you got angry out there, tell us some other times you got angry. What does that look like? Do you sometimes find you getting angry at home? When I do this and my brother does this and do the same thing. So is there anything you learned today that you can now do in that situation? No? Well, let's have a think. And you slowly unpack that and go, maybe I could. Or talk about something you got value from today and say, or something you want to say thank you for. And they say, I just want to thank you for teaching me how to do this. Yeah. Are there any other people who teach you stuff in your life? I guess so-and-so. Well, how do you thank them? Yeah. I don't really. Well, how could you thank them? So, maybe you can thank, if it's your mum or your dad, maybe you can go home and say, I just want to make you a cup of tea and say thank you. So all of a sudden they're taking their skills and they're now transferring them into all their other worlds. So we're creating this place of connection, which becomes kaupapa whānau, because we're all there, because we're the shared interest. Often it's a selfish one, it's what can I get out of it, not what can I give. And we're shifting it to how do I give, and then we're trying to take that and we're trying to think, how do we transfer this into, what are the practical skills we can take what you've learned here, and we're transferring to all these different places. And I guess the really interesting thing is, so you sort of think about that and learn from that, and the frustrating thing is you hear the story and you talk about this kid and you have these wonderful things, but their teacher doesn't have the same experience. Or their parent mum doesn't have the same experience, or a sister doesn't have the same experience, or a peer doesn't have the same experience, because they've only seen the deficit base, the strengths, the negative, the hurt side of it. So the other side of it is thinking, how do you actually take that knowledge? We come back to akona, I think, teacher, learner. How do we take that and share that with those other people so it becomes a learning experience for them? Because one of the frustrating things to sort of realise is that, hey, you get given these kids, this 10-year-old kid or 11-year-old kid, and you get this list of labels about what's not right with them. And so it's all the deficit stuff, but we know actually they've got mana atua. These kids have been given. They're created. There's something unique about them. They're the only one of them. How do we unlock that? But we sort of got to realise, actually we're doing that, but we're not actually, how are we supporting or bringing about change in that world that sits around them so that that parent or that teacher or that peer can also come on that journey? How do they actually get some value and learning out of it so that they're just not caught up in that knowledge, hey, broken kid, fix them, so it becomes a transactional relationship, but actually you're sharing or participating in that growth and development, and by nature of that you're also growing and developing as well. Because again, one of the most common stories we sort of get told, and when you break it down, you talk to whānau, the parents actually say, and I remember a story really clearly, one of our guys, we were sort of talking and saying, how are you going as a dad? What's it looking like when you sort of got your own kids? And there's a really good youth worker, amazing engaged with kids. He goes, it's really tough. And I sort of said, why is that? He said, actually, no one ever taught me how to be a dad because I didn't have a dad, so I had no one to mentor or learn off. And I know I got taught all this stuff, but it's sat over here. So again, within that, there's an opportunity to actually understand and realise a lot of our teachers or our whānau or our parents, they haven't been given an opportunity to learn these things, learn the same skills and express them on that journey as well. And too often they don't want to come and talk about it because all they're doing is they focus on, oh, I should be good at this, but I'm failing at it, and that's really hard. So how do you actually bring them on a journey and actually recognise that young person can become a key role or contributor to actually saying, actually, I can participate in supporting them doing well, and it's that gentle approach to just allowing and sharing skills. So we're really conscious that the focus doesn't necessarily be on young person, but it needs to be in those three worlds that they inhabit, that whakapapa whānau, the other areas of kaupapa whānau, and again, the other situations or that statistical whānau or the other areas that they inhabit, not necessarily always by choice, but that's where they have to be sometimes. So I guess that's sort of, hopefully that's a sort of summary of how we work and how we engage. Yeah.